Every team. Today's conversation is about the importance of memory care and taking better care of your mental health, of your brain health, which is as important as taking better care of your physical health.
We have the privilege to have Minu with us, who is quite interested in understanding this topic. So, Minu, can we understand basics? Can you give us a brief introduction about brain health and what is like dementia and why it is so important to discuss this topic today?
Sure. Thank you both Vibha and Anubhavam for giving a very kind introduction. I'll just very briefly give an introduction about me. So I've been in this mental health field for around 10 years, and I have my interest lies in neuropsychological assessments and their insights into human cognitive capacity. So I've been seeing patients, with different mental health illness, neuropsychiatric conditions, and see how we can cognitively rehabilitate them. So that's a little bit about me. Anubhavam, you very well told, given the first question. But before starting into the questions, in fact, I would like to have a small activity for all of the participants. So we're going to play a quick word association game here. So when I will say a word, and I want all of you to type in the word in the chat that comes first to your mind. Okay, so there's no right or wrong answer. I would want you to go with your gut feeling and type in the word which comes to you as and when you see the word which is displayed on screen by me. So I will be displaying 5 different words and you can type in the word as and when you see it. Yes, I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah, are you guys able to see? Just 1 second. I'm just going to show the word. Yes. So this is the first word. I want all of you to type in the chat. Yeah, no, I don't want you to type the word. I want you to, yes, type in the word which you remember when you see this word. Like, yes. Shining, Mr. Sunil Jain has written shining, yes. Yes, I can see answers coming in. Okay, good. Okay, so let's go to the next word, that is tree. Shade, oxygen, yes. Greenery, good. Leaves, green, yes. Next word, ocean. What comes into your mind when you hear the word ocean? Yeah, that's good. Water, blue, waves, yes. Okay, next is book. Yes. Knowledge, okay. Good. Yes. So that was a very quick and small activity, basically to, get ourselves warmed up into this session. So basically, thank you all, first of all, for participating. So what we try to do in this small session is that when words are displayed on the screen, so a lot of thinking progress or cognition happens in all of your minds. So that is, there is cognitive stimulation which happens. So this game involves a lot of quick thinking that can help improve the brain's ability to make connections, and when you hear a word, so our brain rapidly searches through memories and experiences to find related concepts. So that's again, stimulating your brain, and you have a lot of language and thought process also taking part. So it was a small game just to warm up our brains so that we can get into the session. Yeah. So Anubha ma'am asked me the basics of dementia, and why is it important for us to explain or have this conversation today, right? So as we know that dementia is an umbrella term used to describe a range of neurological conditions affecting the brain. So this is characterized by decline in cognitive function, severe enough to interfere with our daily living. So research shows that, dementia is among top 5 causes of mortality with no accessible detection tools to cure. So what it basically means is that it's a progressive degeneration which happens in the brain. And at this point of time, we do not have, cure, which means we don't have any medications to reverse the condition. But the medications that are currently available is to, the ones which are helping to slowing down this progression, but not completely reverse the condition, right? And also, as a neuropsychologist myself, I've seen how understanding and intervening in early stages can make a significant difference in managing the progression of these conditions. Yes.
Quite interesting, this game which we have played. I found it actually very exciting, and I was thinking that it is my memory test, like, okay, how to relate. And
Yes.
we could actually sense that, okay, some cognition is happening.
Yes.
And then dementia, what do we understand? Ki, okay, forgetfulness, and we are facing this, syndrome of forgetfulness. Ki, okay, sometimes we forget the things. So I do understand from you that, okay, no need to worry. We can improve our brain health. We can improve our cognition ability and memories and all. So now let us explore it more. We get slightly confused what is Alzheimer and what is dementia. So can you just tell us what is the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's?
Sure. Very well put, Anupama ma'am. So, as I mentioned, dementia is a broad term, for conditions that involve cognitive degeneration or impairment. So, so Alzheimer's is actually a type of dementia. So, it's told to be the most common type of dementia that accounts around 60 to 80%. So Alzheimer's is marked by, specific pathological changes in the brain. You form plaques, it's tangles in the brain, which can be observed only through neuroimaging techniques, that is MRI or a PET scan. This is what the difference between, so Alzheimer's and dementia is not two things. Alzheimer's is a common type of dementia. So you also have multiple other types of dementia, which is vascular dementia, caused by, vascular conditions. So there are other dementia like dementia with Lewy bodies and, frontotemporal dementia, mixed dementia, Parkinson's disease. So in fact, a lot of times Alzheimer's can lead to Parkinson's disease, so it's basically degeneration of the brain. So it can cause, it can lead to multiple parts of the brain getting degenerated. And that's how we come into a conclusion as to what kind of dementia is the person diagnosed with.
Okay, very well explained. Could you walk us through what symptoms typically characterize with dementia?
Yes, sure. So one of the most important awareness that we would want to, this slowly dissecting from the previous question to now. So actually one of the most important awareness that we would want to spread is basically differentiating dementia from normal aging, like you mentioned, like, is it normal aging or is it dementia? So because a lot of people think that forgetting in old age is, normal and it's part of aging, but there's this fine line between, early stages of dementia and, something that is pathological, which can be actually dementia. So so usually in the preclinical stages, so what happens is that people might see changes, and then when we get checked, there are usually, in the MCI stage or the dementia stage. So what is MCI? It's mild cognitive impairment. So what happens here is that whereas people face very mild difficulties in, memory. They might get, they might forget things, and here and there, it's a phase where people are not, it's not sure if it's part of normal aging and forgetting, or is it pathological, like how we see in dementia. So in fact, I would actually like to present a picture. Yeah. Are you all able to see the screen?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So in the left side, if you see, that's the normal brain. Like you can see how it is, full. And on the right side, it's the image of an Alzheimer's brain. So basically, what really happens in dementia is that the brain is shrinking, and it's shrinking at a much faster pace, right? So in our 30s is when we, the process of aging starts. So your brain starts to deteriorate anyway from that time. But when somebody has dementia, it is happening at a much faster pace. And this is just for you guys to, this is an MRI scan basically. So it is just, a visual representation of how a scanning image would look like. So on the top, if you see, this is a brain of a normal person, right? And on the bottom row, if you see the difference. Like you have arrows here pointed in the image D, E, and F, where the black spaces is considerably more than the top row. So here, the black spaces is this shrinkage part. So the brain is shrinking, right? So this is just a visual representation to show how, what happens during dementia. Now, Anubaji, you asked, sorry, your question. I'm sorry, I think
No, it's okay. Actually, I asked symptoms of dementia, and then you have very well explained that there are age-related memory changes,
Yes.
which are actually very normal.
Yes.
But we all are interested to know what can be the early signs of dementia so that we can take some precautions.
Right. So, yeah. So early signs of dementia includes memory loss, such as, forgetting, or, the thinking abilities, sort of reduce, and, the social abilities. So it impacts the memory, thinking, and the social abilities, So forgetting recent events, or, you're not able to judge as before. Communication difficulties, disorientation with place, time, person, and you can also see mood and behavior changes in a person. Like maybe pre-dementia, the person used to be a very calm, person, but things like anger, anxiety, depression can be seen, post-dementia. People may struggle to do familiar tasks, like buttoning your shirt, or, tying a sari. They might also, feel difficulty with the balance, coordination issues. Personality changes can also be seen. So these are the symptoms which we kind of see in dementia.
So given the different types of dementia, like Alzheimer's disease or vascular dementia you have explained, what are some of the things that can increase our chances of developing these conditions?
Right. So, as we discussed previously, there is no, cure or, reversing this rapid cognitive degeneration. However, there are techniques, which can be identified to slow the progression. So, or rather, reduce the risk of getting dementia. So, how can we arrive at this is by understanding the factors that is causing dementia. So, what are these risk? So we call it as risk factors. So what are these risk factors? They are characteristics of conditions. They are characteristics of conditions that can increase the livelihood of developing dementia. So we kind of divide these risks into two categories. That is the modifiable risk and the non-modifiable risk. So if you sort of look at things like gender, age, genetic factors, that's the family history, or ethnicity. So these are the factors that we cannot quite change, and it's fixed. But if we look at factors like cardiovascular diseases, high cholesterol, blood pressure, smoking habits, alcohol habits, or sleep and depression. So physical activity, obesity, these are risk factors which we can modify. So while we can't change our genetics or age, so understanding these risk factors helps us in early detection and tailored intervention. So my work in Ivory, in fact, involves assessing these risk factors to create personalized prevention and management plans for our clients.
Okay. So speaking of factors that can influence dementia risk, what are some everyday habits and activities that we can adopt to keep our brains healthy and active?
Right. Very well put, Anubaji. So I think this one question, a lot of people uh, might not be aware of, these answers. So I would like to give some knowledge about this. So basically, we call this the 5 pillars of brain health, right? So first one is physical activity, second is mental or cognitive stimulation, and then we have the healthy diet, social engagement, and lifestyle choices. So basically, we have to concentrate on these 5 pillars, like you said, to keep our brains active and healthy. So one of the most important thing that also contributes to our brain health is our physical health. So regular exercise, like, walking, swimming, it can be aerobic exercises, or like, for older people, it can just be, taking that break every 20 minutes of sitting and, just walking back and forth. So these are the exercises that, it promotes blood flow to the brain, which increases the neuroplasticity and hence lowers the risks of, conditions linked to cognitive decline. Also, all of these activities, especially the physical activities, if it can be done in a group, then it can be more fun and, enjoyable and motivating for everybody. So second point being the mental or the cognitive stimulation. So some of the activities that we recommend to our clients is reading. So because reading increases your vocabulary, it connects a lot with your creativity, especially because you're thinking there, you're imagining as you read, especially fictional characters where you need to remember what you read. So it's really like exercising your brain, right? Also engaging in activities like puzzles, learning new skills, and playing musical instruments, etc. And now I think we have a lot of apps also coming in with games. So if you're traveling, you have to do something on the go, it's very easy to access these apps and still be cognitively active on a daily basis, rather than giving excuses saying that I'm not able to do it because I'm traveling, etc. The other thing is, Anuvaji, a healthy diet. So basically, a Mediterranean diet is something which is ideal for us. So that basically includes fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, especially fish, and, healthy fats, that's walnuts, all the nuts that are available. So in the Indian context, if I have to specify, we have amla, walnuts, we have drumsticks. So all of these are supposed to be foods with a lot of antioxidants, which are which are good for the brain, right? So so just to get back into where we were looking at the 5 pillars of brain health. So the first one being physical activity, second one is mental or cognitive stimulation, third one is healthy diet, and fourth one is the main thing, social engagement. So it's very important to be socially engaged. So a lot of cognitive stimulation happens while we are conversing with people, because you're interacting, you're engaging your language abilities, and so you have to think, you have to connect and relate to the person and talk. So, also things like, what can I say? What are you not supposed to say? So you're activating the whole brain. So how can we incorporate these activities into our daily living? Is, socializing in your community, volunteering, joining clubs. These are ways in which you can socialize, right? And the last one being lifestyle choices. So getting adequate sleep, managing stress with techniques like mindfulness. So it also encompasses of practicing yoga. That is something which we highly recommend. And avoiding excessive alcohol or smoking habits, and so basically all of these contribute to our overall brain health and functioning.
Wow, thank you very well. You have explained all the 5 figures, and I am feeling very happy. You know why? Because we are contributing for your fourth pillar. So I was curious to know that how our social connections, can be helpful
Yes.
to avoid dementia in future, or maybe we are also through our conversations
Yes.
taking care of our mental health.
Yes, very
So,
much.
whatever we have discussed, is there any solid scientific evidence that supports the advice and recommendations we both are discussing regarding ways to reduce the dementia through
Hmm.
lifestyle changes?
Hmm. So, one of the main reasons why Ivory is doing this program is because, like recent researchers show that our lifestyle impacts, the onset of dementia. So it's either precipitating or triggering. So that's why we're really trying to press upon the importance of maintaining a healthy lifestyle. So there is a lot of research, sort of led us to believe that these risk factors that we can modify and are and they reduce our risk of dementia. So in one of the study that was done actually in the US around the 1980s was this research study studying the nuns of a convent. So basically what they looked at was they followed these nuns and looked at their lifestyle. They also made them write journals. So they were looking at their journals and looking how they lived their life. So in the current time, we do not have diagnostic tools to confirm Alzheimer's, but it was only once a person died that they look at the brain tissue and they find that if there's Alzheimer's or not. So they also did these tests with the nuns, and what they found out was early education, their lifestyle, that is their disciplined lives, and the purpose that they had in their lives, and also how they followed a routine and doing a lot of community work. So those factors seem to keep these dementia symptoms at bay, because some of them still had Alzheimer's pathology after they died in their brain, but they never showed any symptoms. So that was a very promising, study. So we realized that cognitive reserve is something very important. Now, especially we also know that people who are bilingual tend to have more cognitive reserve. So if you are bilingual, then you are actually putting off dementia by a couple of years, by compared to someone who is monolingual. So yeah, so if you're somebody who's doing only work 24/7, and then it's time for you to look into balancing work and life a bit more and add in more activities which are cognitively and physically challenging for you. So there is again one more renowned intervention study. So it's called as a finger study. So here basically they divided the team into two groups, and one team was one team sorry, I'm losing the trail of thought, sorry. So one group received a regular health advice, while the other group followed a program that included healthy eating, physical exercises, mental exercises, and social exercises. So basically the 5 pillars of brain health was administered on them. So over 2 years, this group was followed, and the finding of the study was that, they showed significant improvements in memory and cognitive function compared to the group that only received health advice. Okay, so I mentioned, like I said, this is not something which we have sort of made up overnight. It's, it can be a very logical way of leading your life. But there's also a lot of research like this that shows that these multimodal interventions that can, it helps in reducing the risk of dementia.
Very well explained, Meenu. It makes sense to us. So earlier, we briefly spoke about identifying earlier signs of dementia. Can you elaborate on how early detection of dementia can help us in managing this situation?
Sure. Before that, I'm just going to take another break as well, just to get everybody, in context. We're going to play a small riddle again. Okay, I'm going to present my screen. Yeah. So this is a brain teaser for everybody. Which word is not written in the color it names? I want you guys to type in the answer in the chat box. Yes. 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 I guess everybody is in track. It was just to make sure that everybody is, understanding the session and just to make sure that everybody is with me. Good. Okay. Right. So, Anubaji, your question was how
early detection of this disease, like dementia.
Yes. So, early detection of dementia, or Alzheimer's can, profoundly impact the management and progression of this disease, offering significant advantages, for patients and for patients with dementia and their families in terms of medical care, emotional support, and how to plan the future. So, a lot of times, someone can look like they have dementia, but there's a lot of reversible conditions due to blood uh, due to different reasons. So looks like dementia, but it's not, and there are some treatable conditions. So we want to, intervene early and treat the conditions if it's not dementia, so it's not just, you can't write off any memory problem that happens 60 plus as being dementia.
Okay. So when should we take action?
Right. So this is a very good question. So, so most of the time, like we often, look beyond, the symptoms. So, but when we should take action is a very important question. So, if we see that somebody is, being forgetful, and that is affecting their daily life. So again, the frequency of forgetfulness is what we're, focusing here. And difficulty in completing routine tasks, it might be having food, or maybe taking bath. These are all routine activities which we do. So if people are having difficulty in performing these routine activities, confusion with time, place, or person, getting lost in the way, they started to drive and then they've got confused, they've reached somewhere else, or they just take a bus, but they forget which destination they have to go to. So language problems, so there's something called as word finding difficulty. So it's there at the tip of your tongue, but you're not able to express it, or where you get confused between words. You want to say something, but then you end up saying something else. So things like that. And then changes in mood and behavior, and issues with handling money, misplacing items. So these are the things where we have to be aware. And so the main aspect is that we have to think how it is affecting our daily living. So if you're a working professional, at work, are you finding any difficulties? Is your manager complaining? Is your colleagues noticing something? At home, if you feel that your family is finding something different, you say that this does not look like my father. There's some changes, personality changes there. So most of the time, this is why people with dementia are brought in by someone else, because sometimes you might not be able to know by yourself, but people around you might notice these changes.
Okay. So very well explained, Minu. Now we understand what is dementia, Alzheimer, and it is like, how we can take some actions. But I would like to understand somewhat more from you. What are your recommendations, like you will suggest for the individuals who may be at the risk of developing dementia? Some recommendations.
Yes. So basically, there's a lot of medical treatments that is available. So medical treatment, these treatments are not for dementia, but for the risk factors that causes dementia. So, so that's really important to basically get yourself checked and, treated for the correct, condition. And go to the right doctors. So in case of dementia, you can always go to a neurologist, a psychiatrist, and, so basically there's no one test to determine dementia, right? You have a whole set of tests. So you go to a neurologist, you go to a neuropsychologist to get a lot of, neurocognitive tests done. So, yeah. So other than that, you also have, if you have any difficulties with your with mobility, or if you're depressed or anxious, it's very important to you get the right therapies like psychotherapy, physical therapy, or if you're not very, doing much in the day, then there's something called as a cognitive, stimulating therapy. So these are the things which you can indulge in. So also looking at things like, adjusting your lifestyle. So that's your diet, exercise. If you're not doing enough mental exercises, then make sure that you start looking at, different aspects and, make the right changes. Also, like you said, I think that's where Sukoon also plays an important role, in social interaction and, uh, so these are the main things, and, being more cognitively stimulating, involving in more cognitive stimulating activities.
Thanks, Minu. And it is very quite interesting for me to understand today that our role, like talking to the people as a Sarthi, can be beneficial, for mental
Yes.
health. So it's very, very satisfactory for me also. So thank you, Minu. You have explained it very well. I understand Ivory has introduced a cognitive health checkup, like a routine physical health checkup we do. Can you tell us something more about it?
Sure. Thank you so much, Anuvaji, for bringing up this question. So I would, in fact, like to take a couple of minutes to show you what we've sort of just put together here at Ivory's Cognitive Health Checkup. Let me just share my screen. So at Ivory, what we've curated for you is basically a test to see how you're doing with regard to your health and lifestyle, and where you are at with your risk factors. So it's basically a neuroscience-led cognitive assessment that we have planned for you. So there are multiple steps in this cognitive health checkup. So you start off with a cognitive assessment that will in detail assess your cognitive abilities, and then we do a health and lifestyle profiling for you. And, in case you've not done your blood diagnostic, we help you with that as well, at your doorstep. And then we have the neurocounselor consultation. That is where I come in. So I'm the neurocounselor for Ivory. So with what we've got from the cognitive assessment and the health and lifestyle profiling, so you do a consultation with me where you get to know more in detail about your cognitive health, and then we go through what are the risks and recommendations, and then we give you a cognitive health report. So this is what we actually do in Ivory, in fact, so these are some of the testimonials of the early customers of Ivory. In fact, there are doctors around India who has been, who has seen a cognitive health check, and, they use the recommendations to, help their patients as well. So Yeah, so if you're interested in getting enrolled, we have shared our email ID, and you can WhatsApp us on this number as well. Yeah, and I think there's some interesting offer for the Sukoon members as well. So if any of you are interested in getting enrolled, please get in touch with us. I think Divya will also be sharing the link of our Ivory platform. So if anybody is willing to check out the platform, you can do that as well. Right.
Okay.
So, Anubhaji, we also have our Ivory app, in fact. It's a lot of fun. Like I get to it myself sometimes. So, you have games, riddles, you can see your workouts, how you are doing. So it's basically a good reminder to make sure that, you get a little bit of your cognitive boost daily. So in our app, we have something called as free cognitive age assessment. And, we have multiple games here assessing different parts of the brain's abilities. And, we have free quizzes to engage with friends and family as well. So coming to the next part, so I have some resources, uh, in which you can know more about dementia. And yeah, these are the resources in which you can know more about dementia and how, yeah.
So very, very interesting. Your cognitive health checkup. I think it's a new thing here in India. We all are aware of physical health checkup, not
Right.
of cognitive health checkup.
Right.
And I do understand from you that playing games
Mhm.
also is very good for our cognitive ability, right?
Yes. So what happens here is, Anwaji, if I may just tell.
Yeah.
So what we've done here is that, so when we tell somebody to do a lot of cognitively active things, so they find it very, boring. So what we've done here is that these cognitively challenging things, we've turned it into games like. So it can be more interesting for people, and people can be more, interested in, playing this and inculcating in their daily activity.